Okay, so here I am. I'm here with Loki. Hi, Mama. Good girl. And let's see, we are in her, I guess, second full day, maybe her third day, but second full day. And, oh, what happened there, Mama? A little spit up. Okay. But, oh, my food. So, young husky, very smart, very capable. Came in on a harness with a retractable, so not good on the leash. Okay, pulling everywhere, not paying attention at all, really, not really knowing any limitations. And I think when you have a breed that's bred to pull, huskies are bred to pull, they pull sleds. I think, of course, if you give them the tool to pull, they're going to take that to the extreme, meaning harness. So if you put a dog that was bred to pull on a harness and sort of let them, that's exactly what they're going to do. And not only dogs that were bred to pull, but I think just across the board, because dogs have a natural tendency to resist, meaning when they're on a leash and you go to like pull them or want to guide them and you haven't done any teaching, they're going to resist and they're going to pull against you. And so actually kind of the more pulling you do, the more pulling they do. So just kind of understanding, are we maybe contributing to the habits that you're not wanting? Okay, so like, are you contributing to your dog pulling? Well, most of the time I think that we're going to contribute to our dogs pulling if we haven't actually leash trained them, right? So I guess my definition or my thought of leash training is just that, like teaching your dog not to pull, teaching them how to follow the leash. Maybe even something simple right here. She started to bite the leash a little. That's something that she does because, you know, she doesn't have a full understanding yet of like, oh, right, I follow. She still has a bit of that wild mindset where she wants to be like, I want to go over here and I want to do this. I'm so used to having all the freedom and making my own decisions that sometimes when we start to limit that, there's a little bit of pushback there. And so that's, again, part of leash training to me, right? And leash training also meaning we're teaching them a leash language. They're understanding what the leash means. The leash talks to them because the leash is an extension of us, right? Okay, so we've been putting some work in here on just our back and forth exercises here. I did get her onto a 6-foot leash, and originally we were working with her on just a rope lead, but with her sort of strong will to pull and be kind of spazzy on the leash, she was putting a lot of pressure on herself without really wanting to take food at the beginning. Now she should be really taking it. But anyways, she was putting too much pressure with the rope lead, and like a martingale would have been exactly the same. So I went ahead and just swapped her over to a prong yesterday. So we went like 1.5 days of working on the other tools, and then I felt she's got strong enough character, and she was putting a lot of pressure, and she started to pay attention a little bit where I was able to pinpoint and use some food to work on her focus, and I thought this would be a good tool, and so far it's a great tool for her. She's got a really, really busy brain, and so it's really going to help tap in and get her to start thinking and paying attention and really start utilizing and challenging some of that, some of her mental capabilities. Okay, so again, Husky's a very intelligent, very smart dog, and I think that they're going to require us to really be challenging them. Sit. And what does that mean? I mean challenging them with listening and focusing and paying attention, and you know, how long can they listen for, and you know, just a different type of mental games that you can play with them. Good girl. So come on, let's go. So let's get into, we were doing it a little bit, obviously just walking back and forth, but let's get into it here. Good girl. So we're staying fixed length on our leash here. Good girl. We're just turning to our right. As she makes those turns, good girl. Just giving her a little bit of feedback. Good girl. Right now I do have to guide her back to my left sometimes after some of these turns. She'll try to move to my right, so that's fine. Just guide your dog back. Good girl. So we are choosing one side for her to be on. Okay, so we always choose our left. Good girl. So I'm giving her a little bit more. I'm giving her about half of the leash here to make that turn with me. And then we'll be closing that gap. Come on, let's go more and more as we continue. So meaning I'm giving her half the leash here. If she doesn't make that turn, I'm just turning and giving her a little reminder. Jab on the leash there. Good girl. And so that's really where this collar is coming into play here. Okay, sit is when we're actually obviously needing to engage the leash. Good girl. So we've been building her, following her, turning. As you can see, she still gets very distracted. Come on, heel. So this might be, again, a time where you fall back to your, again, this would be your heeling or your turns to get your dog's focus back on you. Okay, so she's hearing a squirrel. We're making our turns. You can see it's like she's trying to multitask, right? So yeah, it's still early. She doesn't have it all. She's trying to pay attention to the squirrel and sort of follow me. Okay, good girl. Sit. Okay, so we've been stopping, bringing her into a sit. So again, right now, I'm not too worried about the focus there. Okay, we'll be getting all that in, but good girl. Let's go. Come on. So we'll take off. Good girl. Good girl. So what we're looking for here, and you can see again, this is a dog that is very capable. It's like how fast she's making those turns, right? She's really trying. She gives some effort. That's what we're looking for here. Good girl. So, to me, again, a husky is that of a working dog. Working dog, busy brain, can make a lot of decisions very quickly, can multitask, can rise and meet challenges. Okay, so again, I think a reason why a lot of people have problems with their huskies is because of that. They're not feeding that side. They're not looking at it as a working dog. And if they do, they're only looking at it as a working dog in terms of physical. So they're just trying to physically tire their husky out. They're trying to run it, they're trying to let it pull, and it's like, that's what it was bred to do. You're just feeding that, right? Which I think is important, okay? But we're not in Alaska here. There's no sleds to be pulled here, right? So, again, I think sure, it's like you could run your dog, put them on a harness, run them and all of that, but you still need to take care of the mental side. And especially maybe to the next degree, okay, with huskies, because they are such pack-oriented breed, right? Because they're a little bit more wild and sort of closely related to a wolf. I mean, even in just Loki's build here, I mean, she looks like a little, fox wolf. She looks like a perfect little fox wolf. So a little bit more wild. Okay, so we are going to need to feed that side of the dog also. And I think that, again, we're going to do that across the board with all of our dogs, because I think that that's what they require, to keep them nice and balanced and healthy, and keep everything solid between the two of you in your relationship. Good girl. Good girl. So we're making some good progress here on the leash with her. Good girl, come on. So we're gonna be getting this in here some more today. Our turning, she's doing great. She's following, she's not fighting the leash. We'll bring her to a stop, shorten up, have her sit. Good girl, good girl, good girl. Okay, and then obviously we've been getting all this down by working on her. Good girl. Some of her just leash manners here in general. Sit. Not pulling out, lunging, yes, picking food up off of the ground, which was a little bit difficult for her at the beginning. She's impulsive, yes, good girl. But again, she's so smart that it only takes a couple reps to, yes, for her to pick up slight understanding, and then very easy for us to build on top of that understanding. Yes, that's a good girl, that's a good girl, that's a good girl. So again, with this exercise, when we pick these ones up, we won't give them to her. We want her to know that those ones are sort of off limits and we don't pick things up off of the ground. But if she makes a good decision, yes, we will reward her with another one. That's a good girl. Okay. Good girl. Good girl. So I'm pretty happy with the progress so far with her. Good girl. She's learning to follow, pay attention. Good girl. Sit. Good girl. Yes. Good. Okay, okay, good girl. Yeah. So I am having to do some checking of her mouthing. That's one of the big sort of issues that she came in with from her owner was she gets very excited and she just starts using her mouth. So just been, when I'm coming down to engage with her and pet her, just making sure that I'm keeping one hand sort of short on the leash here, engage with her. If there's any type of mouthing that goes on, just use leash to control it. Go back to engaging, good girl. So anytime we're, wanting to teach rules or sort of boundaries or limitations or manners in that way, I think it's very important that we are engaging with the dog. And then obviously whenever they do something incorrectly or something you don't want, you're going to control that, okay? Or be correcting it, okay? Because you are going to be applying some type of negative feedback, okay? And then you're going to go right back to engaging with your dog again to see if they learned from your negative feedback. So the point is not to stop engaging with your dog. The point is don't ignore the behavior. Okay, you're never going to teach your dog that way. You're better off actually engaging with your dog. The moment, so her mouth did hit my hand, I'm going to control that, and then we're going to go back to petting again. Good girl. And we're going to see if our dog learned. And we're going to see, okay, if their behavior sort of changes there. And it's going to take a few times. You're going to have to put some reps in with this where the dog's going to be like, okay, every time I do this, mom says that's not acceptable. But it's not like she doesn't want to engage with me. She just doesn't want me to bite her hand. So something that we've been working on with her, and she's getting much better as she's gaining a little bit more patience and self-control and impulse control to not just kind of throw her head around and get very mouthy. Good girl. Good girl. Well, that's where we are so far with Loki, and we're going to be building on that. Good girl. Okay.